Hey guys, Manga Unboxed here, back for another video, and today I'm going to be doing a video that I've been planning to do for a while, and I finally got around to it, and it's going to be Hunter x Hunter versus Yu Yu Hakusho. And these are two great series done by the same mangaka, which is Togashi. He's phenomenal. His art could have a little work, maybe not in Yu Yu Hakusho, but in general, he's just great. I watched the anime for Hunter x Hunter, and I've read the manga for Yu Yu Hakusho, but I'm kind of gonna try to look at this manga-wise, and by that I mean I will try to turn a blind eye to kind of some of the perks the anime give it, like the great animation. Maybe I'll down the fights a little bit, but and when I go over like art and stuff, I'm gonna be basing it off what I've seen in the anime, and it will just be more like the content that's the same within the anime and the manga. But let's just get right into it. So first off, I'm gonna go over the categories I'm gonna be comparing the two series in, and I'm pretty sure there are 8. It is fights, characters, themes, art, story, arcs, 2 more, world building, and antagonists. Took a little bit to remember, but those are the 8 I'll be going over, and I'll say which one I think is better and kind of give my explanation to why. So first off, I'm going to be going over art, and like I said, I watched the Hunter x Hunter anime, so if it's based off that, Hunter x Hunter may be above Yu Yu Hakusho, but I think just from this, because we're talking manga wise, I would have to give Yu Yu Hakusho the win. Yu Yu Hakusho will get the first kind of category. And I think this because Yu Yu Hakusho, the art is very good throughout the series. I think that at the start it's a little weaker, but then it progresses and it gets a lot more detailed and cool by the Dark Tournament. At the start, I think it's kind of a little bit plain, but then it just gets really good. Hunter x Hunter, I haven't read the manga, like I said. I do plan to, but just from what I've seen and like the whole kind of Hunter x Hunter is known for not having great art, and Yu Yu Hakusho is good art, and just I've seen Hunter x Hunter art. I flipped through volumes. It's not like super bad, but it's not very good. So second, we have characters, and the characters in Yu Yu Hakusho I think are really good. They're done well. They're all pretty likable and fun, except for a few. Like some of them are really cool. But I think that Hunter x Hunter characters are just so complex. There's so much thought and work put into them by Togashi, and they're also likable and fun on top of that, some of them, just like how Yu Yu Hakusho is. And I think that Hunter x Hunter has to take this just because the characters are just made a lot better. It's also pretty subjective. It's what you're kind of into. If you don't really care about writing, it could go either way, but I'd still say Hunter x Hunter. It's just, the characters in Hunter x Hunter are just some of the best. Like, Togashi's just really good at writing characters, and he put a lot of work into the Hunter x Hunter characters. Not that he didn't for Yu Yu Hakusho. And also, I think one thing to talk about is the main characters. I think that Yusuke is really good, and I also think that Gon is really good. I think if you're kind of looking at it on the surface, Yusuke is probably more likable. Gon can seem kind of plain, but if you really look at some of the stuff that Togashi put into writing, and again, this is all subjective, so I probably like Gon a little bit more than Yusuke, or they're equal. It can really go either way for me, but Yusuke and Gon are both really good, but either way, Hunter x Hunter still takes the characters. So next up we have the plot kind of slash story of Hunter x Hunter and Yu Yu Hakusho. I think that Hunter x Hunter's story just flows really nicely. It's all kind of fun, new, exciting. You're getting new things kind of the whole time. I think that Yu Yu Hakusho does these things well. Yu Yu Hakusho is new, it brings a lot. I just don't know if it's as consistent. I think that, in my opinion, Hunter x Hunter just does it kind of better, and I think that one argument for Hunter x Hunter being worse would be that it has a lack of an ending, which is a big thing, but I would say that it wouldn't count as much because Yu Yu Hakusho, the ending is pretty weak in my opinion. not very good. It's very rushed. There's a lot of potential there, but it's kind of left untouched, which is kind of annoying. It's still better than no ending, which it'll probably stay like that for Hunter x Hunter. I hope it gets finished, but it probably won't. But I think that the fact that Hunter x Hunter doesn't have an ending definitely brings it down, but I don't think that it brings it down enough for Yu Hakusho to be better. So for plot and story, I'm gonna give Hunter x Hunter the win. Next up, we have fights in Hunter x Hunter and Yu Hakusho. While both of them have really great fights, I think that this is a little bit tough, but I think it would have to go to Yu Hakusho. Yu Hakusho has great fights throughout the whole series, but I think that the Dark Tournament especially kind of, not carries, but it definitely helps a lot because it is just crazy fight after crazy fight, all fitted into one arc. It is just really, really good. It's just all action, and I really love that. I think that Hunter x Hunter may have some more meaningful fights. I think that Meruem versus Netero, because of the writing and the action was really good, is probably my favorite fight between both series, but I'm kind of looking at this more of just an action by itself standpoint. Yu Hakusho was all drawn very well. Hunter x Hunter, the fights were animated very well, but I'm not really factoring that in, and even so, I think that Yu Hakusho would win because Yu Hakusho has a large quantity of fights, and even though there's a lot, it stays consistently good. So now we have arcs for both series, and I think that both are really well done, but I'm just gonna start with Hunter x Hunter. I think that Hunter x Hunter, the arcs are super good throughout. I think that every arc was basically just really good. If you don't like Greed Island, that's on you, because Greed Island is really good. The only kind of miss I can think of would be that kind of mini Killua arc after the Hunter exam, but that was very small, and I see a lot of people not even counting it as an arc and kind of factoring it into Heaven's Arena or the Hunter exam. That's the only one I can kind of think of, but Yu Hakusho also has really good arcs. I just think that the first half, or like the first arc of Yu Hakusho and the last arc of Yu Hakusho weren't very good. I thought that they were good, but they don't really compare to a lot of the good arcs between the both series. I think that Dark Tournament is maybe the best tournament arc in Shonen. I still need to read more, but so far it's one of the best. I think that Chapter Black was really, really good, but I'm probably gonna have to give this to Hunter x Hunter. I just think that there were a lot more good arcs, and it was just a lot more consistent. And you could say that Hunter x Hunter has a lot more arcs, so it has more chance to have more good arcs. But I think that even if you looked at it percentage-wise, Hunter x Hunter would still be a lot better, like, in consistency than Yu Yu Hakusho. So now we have world building between the two series. And this is gonna be the first and last tie of this video. I didn't really want to do this, but I couldn't really pick which one I liked better. I think that they both do it well. I don't think it's nearly as good as stuff like One Piece, but I think that they both do it pretty well. I think that what Yu Yu Hakusho does well is they go into the rules and like the setting and kind of like how people act within the human plane, the demon plane, and the in-between kind of like jobs, the whole system. I think that was cool how they went into that, and especially kind of the rules and like the barriers and all that. I thought it was cool. They really went in depth of kind of what you had to do to be this and to go here, and kind of how the demon plane was. And I think especially in the last arc, the last arc did do a lot of world building, but I think it could have done even better. I think that the last arc, if they went in the direction they started in, could have been one of the best war arcs in Shonen, but it seems like they were short on chapters. If Yu Yu Hakusho had like 6 extra volumes and they had a war arc at that end with the 3 kings, then that would have been one of the best arcs, I feel, if Togashi went all out. But that's kind of besides the point. We have Hunter x Hunter too, And it may seem less obvious, but Hunter x Hunter does go into the world a lot. And world building is not just going to places. Like One Piece does this a lot where they go to all these islands and it's cool. That's great world building. And One Piece does both sides of the coin where they go into the settings and the society and how everything works. And I think that's what Hunter x Hunter does best. I think what's overlooked is the world building in York New City with the mafia bosses and kind of how like the world works, like who's in power and who isn't. And I think in the Chimera Ant arc, like what was the country's name, like NGE or something like that, but that country, they really went into kind of what was going on there, like the whole like system of the, what was it, like the drug people. I don't exactly remember, but they also went into like Heaven's Arena. And if you think about it, they did a lot of stuff in Hunter x Hunter, and both did it very well, but I'm probably just gonna have to give it as a tie. So second to last, we have Antagonist, and this one I would want to say it's tough, but it's not, because both series do it really well, but Hunter x Hunter is just way too good in this category. But first I'll talk about Yu Yu Hakusho. I think that they definitely have great antagonists. I think the first arc kind of starts off like a lot of shonen, where it's kind of just like a bunch of random mini events that kind of tie together but kind of not, where it's like semi-episodical, that kind of lacked a main antagonist like a lot of those arcs. I think that the Dark Tournament had some great antagonists, like just some of the people that were fighting. The Toguro brothers were really great, and some of their team was really good. And I liked in what's in it, Chapter Black, Sensui was really great. I thought he kind of reminded me of some Hunter x Hunter characters, but Hunter x Hunter just does way too well in this category. Like I said, they have Meruem, who is one of the best characters in like manga that I've read and anime. He's just extremely well written. I can go more in depth and stuff. Maybe I'll make a video on him. I don't know, probably a million people have made a video on him though. They have the Phantom Troop, which is one of my favorite groups of villains, and I think that Crollo by himself is just like really, really good. And Hisoka's Hisoka, but he's weird, but I still really like him. I just thought he was cool. I honestly can't pin a reason on why I liked him so much when I watched it, but I just think that Hunter x Hunter has some really, really great antagonists. So lastly, we have themes, and this has to go to Hunter x Hunter without a doubt. I think that Yu Yu Hakusho, it just is a lot less focused on writing in general and more on like action and stuff, and that is totally fine, you know. I really like great writing, but I don't need it to like a series. I think that just having kind of like a action-y series is good, and not to say that Yu Yu Hakusho doesn't have great writing, and that'll go into my next point, which of praising Yu Yu Hakusho, and that Chapter Black is really well written. I think it has similar themes to the Chimera Ant arc, with like humans being just as bad as demons or Chimera Ants, you know where I'm coming from. I think that maybe some of the Chimera Ant, like that kind of whole theme stemmed from Togashi, thinking back to Chapter Black, but I just think that the Chimera Ant arc just does it so much better. It is one of the best arcs in shonen, if not the best. I think that there are some others that can compete, but I just think that Hunter x Hunter just has a lot more too. Like a few examples I have on the top of my head are like Crollo's identity crisis, Gon showing the 5 stages of grief, and I just think that the whole like humans being just as evil as the demon or the Chimera Ants is done a lot better in the Chimera Ant arc. And they both have good writing and good themes, but I just think that Togashi went all out on Hunter x Hunter. So that's about it. I think that, as you can probably tell, I like Hunter x Hunter more than Yu Yu Hakusho out of Togashi's big series. I think that Hunter x Hunter is just really, really great, but I also think Yu Yu Hakusho is really, really great. So it's hard. It may have seemed like I didn't like Yu Yu Hakusho, or I was kind of bashing it a bit, but I really, really like Yu Yu Hakusho. Like I said, it's like a 9 out of 10 for me, but Hunter x Hunter is just like a 10 out of 10 for me, so I'm gonna like it more. But I think I tried to give like an unbiased opinion, because it's not really biased at all, because it's just an opinion. But Hunter x Hunter is just done super well. Nothing against Yu Yu Hakusho. Togashi is truly a genius. He just needs to be. I just hope he eventually finishes Hunter x Hunter. But that's about it for the video. If you liked, hit the like button. If you want to come along on the channel, I do manga content. Subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.